21st, the 27th, so we got an extra week on it. And one of the other things that we have in there, the boundary, once they get into the American Canal, they're gonna go do some work, put it more underground. So they're gonna eliminate.
Where, up above?
Yes, sir. But below the American Dam, between American Dam and Settling Basin, which is the old Hacienda Cafe, they're fixing to put it underground. And so they want the canal as soon as possible. Then we're not even gonna be able to carry.
That doesn't have anything to do with our return flow, does it?
No, I think by the 27th, even if they take the canal, it'll be very little basic flow. We can still carry the little bit left over with the return flow that we got, the sewer water and whatever, to finish out the season. I think by the 27th, nearly all pecans will be out.
Whenever they do that stuff, they're gonna divert any water that's coming out of the upper valley into the river.
Into the river. Yeah. And we can't pick it up because they need that American Canal dry. And Al's been working with them, and he's kind of, because they had talked about doing it, and all of a sudden they came in and,
Immigrants don't get wet.
Yep.
so. And like I said, these are target dates, but all I want to do is just, so we can give it to the dispatcher, put it out, so that everybody would know more or less what we're planning on doing. Unit 8 and 9 is really not a problem, Johnny, because we always have, the main concern is Unit 6 and 7, because when we run out, we run out.
I understand that, so it looks fine to me. I don't know about the rest of you. I mean, of course, it's all dependent on orders, so if you
Yes,
get to the point where you have orders, you can shut it off early. So, but if there's a demand, we want to meet the demand. That's what we're here for.
Depends on the weather, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
The biggest target here is the pecans, and I think by that day, by the end of October, even around the 15th, they'll pretty well play out. So they're almost gone.
So we need a motion with those dates, or do we not?
No, these are
they're tentative.
These are tentative, no, I think, well.
These are tentative?
Yes.
Yes. It's just something to put out, Johnny, that this is what we're planning, and we can come back next month and kind of target a little bit harder.
Okay, so you have a little more information?
A little more information, kind of, you know, we've been very fortunate with the water we had this year compared, because this heat that we're having this year has been unbelievable hot. And, you know, it seems like, talking to the farmers, the cotton is taking an extra water that they normally do. They're doing 6 this year versus 5. And I think they got about 2 more waterings to do. They just got to do it with the 4th one. They got the 5th one coming up about the end of August. And I think these are the last hard run that we can get on the cotton. And then there'll be another one in the middle of September. A lot of people like the water around the 10th.
You know, I was just, my observation this morning, come down there, the maturity of the cotton crop in the first part of August is amazing to me. I mean, it really looks good and really looks more mature than normal, so.
Berries.
Yeah.
And so some of the guys were saying they got so much flowers on the ground, the water, you know, and they want to travel down the roads. Flowers is not going to flow.
That's a huge problem.
Yeah. So, you know, we've been blessed with this water we had. I don't know what would have happened if we didn't have it, because normally at this time of the year, every year for the past couple of years, we shut it off in August. But the good thing about it, we're going to be able to go a little bit longer.
If you need it. That's what the point is. Some of this cotton may not need it. I mean, they might get to the point, a lot of this cotton's determinate, and it quits once it gets to a certain point. And now, like I say, the maturity is such because it's been so warm. When you have warm days and warm nights, that cotton grows all the time. When you have the cool nights, it doesn't grow much at night. So this is more like an Arizona crop, like it's always been.
It hadn't been cool at night at all.
So it may be that the demand's not there, but whatever.
We're breaking the record. They say that we're going to break the record from 94 of over 63 days of
Yeah,
100 plus.
it's unbelievable. I mean, but seriously, this is more like living in Phoenix or Yuma than it is, not Yuma, of course, that's worse, but Phoenix or Tucson or something like that. That's normal weather for them in the past. And the guy out there, I don't tell how hot it is out there. I'd even be afraid to think.
And so give it a good indication compared to last year, to this time, we delivered almost like 50,000 acres more this year than last year. Last year was a very slow year. We delivered almost 1,500 more deliveries this year. I went back and compared it this year to what I hear Al was compared 1918, excuse me. I mean, 2018.
Nineteen eighteen.
No, 2018, I compared
I
to
knew you were older than what you
2018.
said.
Okay, erase that, Lisa. But comparing this year to 2018, in 2018, we started in April, this year we started in May. The crazy thing about this year, we've almost delivered, in 2018 to this day, we delivered 200,000. This year we delivered 265,000, so.
Because the demand's there because of the temperature.
It's been very fortunate again that we had the water with this heat. And I don't know what would have happened if we wouldn't have had this water that we got this year,
I
so.
know it's, well, the people that have to use their wells more and the people that have them, and the rest of them would be pretty tough.
So I would say if everybody had a chance, they need to walk to San Lorenzo this weekend and stay away. Gracias. Right? And on the other aspect that, what Al was saying earlier, we're using our water, like, so far, May, June, July, I think we're gonna use about 100,000, but then EBID is fixing to come off board, so I think we're gonna use a little bit stronger come. EBID goes off board next Friday. This Friday, the last order date, and then next Friday,
Really? They
they,
didn't change.
they're coming out though. Hatch already got off 2
Really?
weeks ago.
Well, they have good wells, they get the same water they used to have.
But they're coming off, and so, and it's very, when they're coming off, it's very hard to figure out what the river does, because a lot of times, they keep their river, their canals primed up, but they spill a lot of it, so you gotta keep an account of what they do, so a lot of times, we cut off a big chunk off the order, but to appreciate their spilling, but you gotta be careful with the farmers out here, because you can't burn them up.
Yeah. You're a miracle man to be able to manage that.
Well,
And
it's
the people
tough.
that have never run water don't have a clue what you go through.
Talking to James, you know, I said, James, I asked him this Monday, I said, James, are you spilling water? He said, what do you mean I'm spilling water? I said, no, spilling water. I didn't say
He
spilling
was
water.
guilty of the first.
I said, spilling water. I said, well, we
Yeah,
don't.
when he jumped on that first one, he's guilty.
No, but anyway, they got the Leesburg and the Hatch and the Messiah, their last order date is this Friday. And the way that James says that most of the farmers are already out of their allotment water.
Use your allotments, yeah.
So come Friday, they'll either cut off or they'll go till Saturday, but after that, we're on the river by
You
ourselves.
better be careful of that second thing you ask him, or really the first thing, because if they're cut off their allotment, there'll still be water and it'll be ours.
No, the Leesburg, they raise their headings and they cut off Leesburg completely, and that east side,
I understand all that stuff, Robert, but I also know what happens.
well, I never.
You need to be on top of it.
But everything going to play, if we go into August after the 18th, we're gonna use a little bit more water, because we're gonna be starting getting charged to Calayo. But I think after it's all over with, we'll still come out okay, and we'll be at about 230, 220.
Of course, we always, even in good years, we always try to meet the demand, but we don't want to waste it.
No, that's true. And right now with the heat, sometimes I'm afraid I'm always usually more conscious about trying to be more conservative, but with this heat, I just can't take the chance
No,
of burning up somebody.
it's unbelievable.
Because some of these farmers, they'll put their orders in for Friday, and also by Wednesday, they're screaming they need water, and
Yeah, it's a very unusual year
Yeah.
for people, normally, how it goes, it's a learning curve for them too, I can promise you.
so that's where we're at, and then, like me and Pete were talking, is that we're encountering something this year we haven't done in a couple of years, because we're delivering full allotment for August and September, where usually by this time, we're cutting off all the units,
Yeah.
and we got problems with the weeds and the cleaning of the canals. And very 10 new ditch riders out there, does it help?
Let me tell you, I don't know how you find help that can even think about how to run water. There's just not many people that, you're doing an amazing job.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
tell you the story
I hate
that
to
we-
blow you up in here, I mean, you don't inflate
No, but-
your ego, but you really do an amazing job in being able to do what you do.
If we tell you the story that we go through when we hire men, you won't believe it. We don't even tell our HR.
And you said that on camera.
No, but
You've got to make it hard, considering it's lucky.
it's hard to find good men.
That's right,
Okay.
it's hard to find men.
Yeah, period.
So if you got somebody to interview, feel lucky.
I even asked Lisa if she wanted to be a ditch rider, said, hell no.
Yeah.
She didn't want to work Saturday and
At least
Sunday.
have been here long enough to know better.
Yes.
No, but it's going, and I think we
Opened
got
up
one
the
more hard
case.
run on the system. And I think September usually starts settling down a little bit.
Pete can probably run a little water, I mean, he's got a lot of experience.
I think he forgot how to run water.
On purpose.
Just like riding a bike.
Yeah, you never forget, right?
Yeah, it's good to bring some of the old ditch riders back, but no, they don't want to come back. It's just the newer guys that we got is something else.
Well, anyway, Robert, you.
No, we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Reels, great job.
Thanks.
See you later. Well, I guess it's up to your day, or are you gonna?
Yeah, I'm gonna go open the door. Yes.
But it has been a challenging year. Robert's done an amazing job. We hired 6 ditch riders in April and lost 4.
4.
The last week, we're hiring some more, but it's in the middle of the season, so yeah, some folks are having to pick up shifts to train the new guys, and we hired these 6 and they left. Yeah,
It's
a lot.
nationwide, nobody can
Yeah,
find
yeah, and
it.
then, like I said, running water, and they're at night, I mean, we've been training them, but it's been
What
difficult.
is it, they bring in hundreds of thousands a day and none of them work? But the
Yes.
ones that here don't wanna work.
No, they've done an amazing job with,
It's really
Staff
crazy,
right
I
now.
mean, and it's not, I mean, it's every business, every business. Not
Yes.
just us.
Yeah.
And
You know,
farm hands, forget that, they're not anybody wanna work that hard.
You know, even my irrigators now, I'm telling them, take care of the ditch. I'm telling them, you
No.
check the farm and go check the ditch.
And,
If you
you
see
know,
something,
Dr. Blair's, Al's telemetry, I mean, it's tremendous help, you know, we've got it on the phone and it beeps, gives them alerts prior, but you know, you get a sledge of water, you ain't stopping it. We've had some more flows than we've had our incidences, over the last few months, but, you know, it's, growing pains, and hopefully, we've hired some more. They're riding with a lot of the folks right now, so, but, yeah, it's been,
Yep. The
So,
more
yeah, thanks, keep it up.
automation you can get, the better, because I
Yeah.
mean, people just, they're not there. All right. Sharon?
Okay, so the first subdivision is application 3329 for Ranchos Resendes subdivision. Licensing has reviewed and recommends this one for approval.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve application 3329?
so moved.
Mayor makes a motion.
Second.
George seconds, all in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries, okay?
The next one is application 3369 for subdivision Cottonwood Springs replat A. Licensing has reviewed this one and recommends it for approval.
Do I hear a motion?
Move to accept 3369.
Okay, George makes a motion, Larry seconds. All in favor say aye. Same sign. Okay, license 3172.
okay, I'm gonna explain this one. This is the drain maintenance contract that we have with El Paso Water. It's a 5-year contract, and it was executed here in December of last year. The original expired, and in December as well. And so this is a license that, you know, we maintain the drains, and the city pays an annual fee and a use fee. But the reason this one's on the agenda today is because of the sale of the Franklin Drain within the city limits of El Paso. Last year, the district sold the Franklin Drain, which runs parallel to Carl Longomere by Pan American, and it starts right by the Tiguas. So that portion was in this license, and so we needed action to remove it from the contract, from the license that was
So
approved.
this is an addendum to the existing.
An addendum, exactly. So we're just gonna remove that particular drain, so it's been sold to El Paso Water, so at that point, it's their responsibility to maintain and operate and do what as they wish. So we will, so the new license essentially mirrors the exact same as the previous version without the Franklin drain in it, so that's it.
So on that, the PSB has no issue with it or nothing?
No, yeah, it's theirs, and we spoke with them and told them it was theirs to handle and take care of, and yeah, they're good. So they're using it for some well water discharges that they're currently have ongoing, so. Yeah, they sent an email and asked them for permission to discharge, I'm like, hey, that's you all.
How long of a drain did you
It was, the length, it was 8,000 linear feet, I believe. It was from the beginning. It's on, by Southside School, San Pedro's the street, right by Academy. And it ends at Socorro Road by Cougar Park, San Eli, Socorro, Bovey, a little bit downstream of Bovey. The city limits end right there at FM 258 at Socorro Road is where the city limit ends for El Paso. So it is about 8,000 linear feet of the drain. And y'all sold it last year.
Last year.
But last November or something?
So that's it. So we just need, to remove it, so with your all's approval.
Move to approve this recommendation.
McGill makes a motion,
Second.
Larry seconds. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
The next one is 3 applications by Odin Construction for temporary ingress and egress construction licenses. 2 are on the Montoya Drain lateral, and the third one is on the Fort Lansford Drain. Licensing has reviewed all of these and recommend these for approval.
Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve.
McGill makes a motion to approve all the applications under item B. Do I hear a second?
Second.
They, sorry, before you vote, you guys need to set the
You're out
rate
of
for
order.
these.
Hey, you're out of order. You want to speak now?
You need to set the rate on these. These are not standard, they're temporary. So, Jay, do you want to tell them what rate you're proposing?
Sure. So these are, so the first 2 are essentially fabricated bridges to cross the Montoya Main under our craft. Odin is a contractor for IWC. They'll be working on the levee, raising the levee. And the other one is to access a field that they're going to remove the clay to place on the levee to cap it.
They're not cleaning the channel, they're raising the levee.
They're raising the levee, yes, they're raising the levee, yeah.
They don't want to mess up the islands in the river.
You're right. So yes, so we are in discussion. We're suggesting, with your recommendation, a $5,000 per license for 6 months, and then an additional $5,000 if they wish to renew for an additional.
Are they in agreement with that?
I told them that we were going to discuss in the board meeting, but I gave them some ranges, so they said okay.
So you're recommending 5,000 is the
Yes.
rate on these 3?
Per bridge, right?
Per license, per application.
For 6
yes.
months.
Application, yeah.
5,000 for 6 months.
Yes.
Is that a standard that we have on situations like this? Because
I don't think we
No,
have
we
any.
don't, they're all,
Just never had this.
they're all
Case by case.
individual, case by case, yes. thank you.
Case by case. Now, this is part of the motion we just did, right?
Yes, yes, the way you did, yes, sir.
as long as we're fair, if something else comes up.
We have a motion. Do I hear a second? I don't think we got a second. McGill made the motion, right?
Right,
Is there a second?
I second.
Now can we vote, Dr. Blair?
I was hoping for 50,000, but 5's okay.
Okay, let's go back to the drawing board. Al's gonna pay 50,000.
No, 5, these are small, really small footprints. A couple of thousand square feet, Jay, right?
And
Yes,
it's temporary crossing, they'll put it in.
Just
the-
2,000, yes.
Yeah, so these, it's not like an equipment yard or anything, so 5,000 seems okay.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, application 3371-8.
Yes, by NCI, it's for fiber optic cable, subsurface fiber optic cable, crossing the Wellington lateral at Alameda, and licensing has reviewed this and recommends it for approval.
But I need a motion, guys.
I move to accept application 3371.
Okay, George makes a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Miguel makes a second. All in favor say aye, all opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The 4 applications of Contera Network.
Yes, 4 applications for Contera Networks, all various subsurface and aerial fiber optic cable crossings at various canals and drains. And it's 4 applications, and licensing has reviewed these and recommends these for approval.
I have a question on that. The Contera, who are they representing? Is there like a?
Contera is their own fiber optic company. They're providing internet
It's not a
services.
Spectrum, it's not a.
No, Contera's competition with Spectrum.
Oh, okay.
And
I never heard of that.
NCI, Verizon. They're in North Carolina. They got a contract to supply to Socorro ISD.
Okay. That's good to know. Okay. Move to approve.
Okay, Miguel makes a motion.
Second.
Larry second. All in favor say aye. Motion carries. Application 3407.
The application 3407 is by Juan Brack. It's a different company who's supplying fiber optic cable, subsurface crossing the middle drain at Herring Road. Licensing has reviewed these and recommends this for approval.
Do I hear a motion to approve 3407?
I move to accept
Application
application
I have a
3407.
question. Is 25 years, is that gonna be our standard going forward, or is there a situation where
Yeah, that's
we
our
do
standard.
50, or
It's 25 or
25
50.
with an option.
But typically, we do about 25.
you stick to 25 for the most part?
Yes.
Okay, unless it's in
That's their request, but
Some
typically,
special.
they usually do would like less, so we're setting up 25 is a minimum.
the second?
Okay, Miguel seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, letters of no objection.
Yes, there's 3 applications by Texas Gas. All of these are for approval letters, and they have been reviewed by licensing, and licensing recommends them for approval.
They already have the permit, so it's just approving this project.
They're under public streets, they're running within the right of way of the public
Okay.
streets.
What do we get for these licenses?
Those are costs, there was some lawsuits back in the day, the district and utility. So as long as they stay within the right of way of the roadway, in this case it's Alameda, we should approve there, we'll see the construction and whatnot.
That's the only time I got to go to the Fifth Circuit Appellate Court in New Orleans.
Oh, is that one of the times?
We
Yeah.
lost. There's a little story behind that, but I won't.
They do, Larry, they do pay the administrative fee for us
Yes,
to do the review.
they submit drawings and, comply with all our construction requirements and whatnot, so.
I have a question on, when we approve that for licensing, has no way or form that we're approving the, you always hear these scary stories about pipes blowing up and stuff like that. Do they show you the process, what the I know we don't have no responsibility, I'm assuming, but as far as what it takes to run a pipe of high pressure gas?
Yeah, no, that is solely contingent on their engineers and their design. We do not recommend any design for their carrying capacity within their pipelines. That's all on them. We just ask that they use a casing. That way, if we're digging and we hit it, we're not hitting the carrier pipe.
Gotcha.
Damage the casing and.
You approve the job, you approve
Right.
it, but there's the design.
The design is like
Opposed to
that.
the pipe. Well, we don't want to get into designing the
Okay,
pipe.
don't want us to get sucked into something that.
No, no, that's all on them.
Yeah, we require that the plans be sealed by a licensed engineer in Texas, so he takes on the responsibility, whoever they hire.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve item 15A?
Move to approve.
Miguel makes a motion.
I second.
Larry seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. 16.
Item number 16 is an approval letter under the master license for the city of El Paso for the city crossings under master license 1300. And licensing has reviewed this and recommends this application for approval.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
I move to accept license 1300.
Okay, George makes a motion, do I hear a second? Second. Larry seconds, all in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Application 3406.
Application 3406 is for a classification for Ms. Carmona to regain her water right. And licensing has reviewed this application and recommends it for approval. Ms. Carmona has paid her taxes and everything has been approved by each department.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, Miguel makes a motion, George seconds, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, 18, there is nothing. Number 19.
19,
19.
Okay.
Grant.
okay, yes, 19A, and so this is the grant that was been in discussion, and Al and I have been working on this, the Franklin Canal adjacent to the zoo. Al had prepared a letter that,
I haven't finished the letter, Jason. We're still working. I've still got a request out for some price estimates for, we told you last time, our biggest concern on this one is the funding for the project looks to be woefully inadequate. We met with Pete and went over, there's some very complicated placement to line this canal. We don't have access because of the zoo, plus restrictions for environmental reasons and for the fact that the zoo has to stay open all the time for the public. So those special design things were considered in the proposal, but we're trying to get them in the new price estimate. And then Jay and I will meet with the Water Development Board and try to decide whether we can apply for additional funds or not. But right now, it's looking like we won't be able to afford to construct this. It would, it's looking at what we decide, approximately it's 3 times, going to cost 3 times more than what we estimated during the proposal.
Are you taking into account, Al, the pre-COVID costs or implications to post-COVID?
Yeah, this one, yeah, right, that's the main thing that's changed the price. So there's 2 things that change the price. The fact that we're gonna have to use, we've got mobilization costs that were estimated wrong because it's pretty far from, obviously from Clint. And we have to actually build up a construction yard to do this project right there at the zoo. And then number 2 was that everything's gone up in price. I mean, we're gonna have to use pumper trucks for most of this. Pete probably can talk to it. He worked with us on the actual constructability. And of course the proposal part of the proposal was to do this type of analysis. And so that's what we're doing now. And then so it's not as if we weren't aware, and the Water Development Board was aware that we had to do some evaluation post-proposal on this project. So we'll see what they say, if there's any additional funds that they can, when we come back to them. But I hope to have that letter to you guys today. It actually goes to the Water Development Board, but we'll have it for you next board meeting for sure.
Okay.
Seems like we've been talking about this one for
yes,
years.
yeah, there's a lot of,
I don't think the zoo even wants it. Is that a correct statement?
that is correct. And yeah, they are not for it for various reasons. So we'll have that letter and we'll bring it next month.
What happens if it's it's so expensive we can't do it? Then what happens to the grant? It goes back to
It
the...
just, yeah, so.
And it just goes back. There's a clause in that. The Water Development grants are pretty considered this issue because they knew that we didn't have it designed before it was before we got the grant. The grant was pre-designed. So there's a clause in it that says that they get to evaluate the design and we get to evaluate it. And if it doesn't look feasible, then we can cancel the grant. But this one, Renee had talked to you guys about this one. There was some legal issues. This one was really complicated. It had a lot more, you know, the first, just to give you a little history, and Jay can too, is that first thing we did on this grant was try to meet with the zoo, and it took us, what, 3 months to get a meeting with the zoo, Jay?
3 months, right?
So you're dealing with zoo
Yeah, I
personnel,
think that
not
it's-
the city?
No, the zoo, the director of the zoo, but they are an extension of the city.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Is that indicative of the fact that they don't want it, they don't wanna even talk
Well,
about it?
We finally got a hold of Mr. Montezano, and he was adamantly opposed to it, so.
That's
yeah,
what
so
they wanna
great.
talk about.
So I say, great, I mean, no, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I think what, to qualify that, I think he's acceptable that we need to line it and that they would take over the landscape. And he's okay with that, it's just that,
So other components?
it's just really hard to construct. It's not, we can't use, we extrapolated like the Franklin feeder cost, and you can't do that because of the location of this construction isn't like lining the Franklin feeder. And so that, we talked to him about that, and so obviously he doesn't want any public access because of security. They use that section of the canal as a security buffer, and it's got we've got fences on both sides of that canal, and they, you know, they patrol it to make sure nobody's in that area there because they've already had some ingress issues with the zoo and some vandalism. So, well, you know, that means that we have to put a security guard there 24 hours a day when we're doing the construction, so that cost wasn't in the proposal, but we can't, I mean, we know we can build it, if we have to, we can do it, we just gotta get it so that the district's not paying, you know, an enormous amount for a small amount of time.
What I'm hearing, we don't have to do it.
Right.
Right,
We can't
you don't have
afford
to.
do it. So why are we even worrying about it?
Maybe because we're committed to the Water Development Board, we accepted this grant.
Yeah, that's what my letter does, the letter in the grant, I generate this letter, and then that's when the decision is made. And you guys can recommend in that, I'll probably recommend, I'll tell you right now, the letter's gonna recommend that we do cancel the grant.
Okay.
But, you know, that's a decision for you guys to make, not for me, that's just a recommendation. And I forward that recommendation to the Water Development Board, the grant requires me to do that, and then they get to make a decision to cancel it if they want to. So both of you guys will probably make the same decision. They'll probably see my letter and say, yeah, this isn't gonna work out for the funding that we have, and we don't have the resources to fund it at a higher level. And then you guys can look at it and say, hey, without the additional funding, we're just not gonna do it. So, but that's not in front of you today, that, I apologize, I wish it had been in front of you, but it will be next month.
And what I'm hearing here is that, I get it, we don't have to do it. What we don't want to do is just flat out say, we don't want to do this because we change our mind. There's a reason why we're changing, we're doing it, because of, I always go back to COVID, there's circumstances that were beyond our control. These are things that we run it by them, to say, okay, sounds like a good idea, no big deal, go ahead, and at that point, that can be considered. The last thing we want to do is to have the Water Development Board use that as a negative toward the district, because we changed our mind.
No, we've been, you're exactly right, Miguel, that's how we've been handling it with them, and they're fully aware. We've had multiple meetings with Water Development Board, they understand that this is a complicated project.
Let me just add real quickly, this is another one of those situations where the board approved an application for the award, and then said, but bring it back to us for final approval. So the board has never approved the award, so it's never
Accepted.
It's like a bunch of those we've had recently about what you're gonna have on 19D in just a second. It's another one of those kind of things. So Miguel was saying, we've kind of approved it. Well, in a sense, the district as a whole, the board has never approved it. So you're okay on that front.
Good.
And we're gonna have a lot of these coming up, you know, before you, and it's just the common language and lingering effect are the costs, you know. So we're asking the funding agencies, obviously with the monetary value that was approved at the time, a few years ago, to where we are now, we can only construct half the project maybe, so we need to increase the funds or decrease the limits, one of the two. So.
Jay, is this a bottleneck in our system or not?
No,
The water flows like it's
One of the problems is there's a bridge there that was constructed. Am I thinking of the right spot?
There's a bridge to the entrance, but yeah, no, it sits right at the water level, it doesn't, right at the water
Makes it
level.
very difficult to.
There's a culvert upstream where US 54 crosses, so that's an inverted siphon, so, you know.
So we're not really getting much flow by,
No, it would, you know, the lining would, you know, would obviously speed up the water to the 290-degree turns that are in there, but essentially, the main thing, it would reduce the maintenance of the vegetation. Yeah, having to go in there with the tractors.
And I think, Larry, you're right, I think it is, that whole part of the Franklin's a restriction.
Yeah.
Robert can speak to this, Robert and Pete, so Pete has to clean it, and this is a really hard place to clean. And that's why we wanted it lined, so it would be very advantageous to the district to get this line.
Right.
But I think the cost, the cost and the time that it's gonna require to do it, if we go out for bid, I'm sure, and Miguel can speak to this, if we go out for bid on this and try to get it done, it's gonna cost, it may be as much as 10 times over what the grant was for. It's just, it's a really hard place to construct. Same reasons it's hard to do. Johnny's right, there's a bridge that is in the water, in the flow line. Actually, I think the water hits it, Jay, so.
Okay.
We haven't seen it as a major restriction point, but it is a restriction point.
It also restricts being able to go in there and maintain and reconstruct
That's the
too.
difficult part, that's the difficult part.
Yeah, you have to remove that dirt in some of those places with those walk behind,
Some of those bridges.
wheelbarrows, you can't, motorized wheelbarrows, you can't even use the bobcats on it.
We have a name for it, but I won't bring it up.
That location, the Franklin, that area is got 50 to 60 feet upstream from Valverde. It's 50 to 60 feet wide, and yeah, the restriction is not any different from upstream, Copia, all those cross streets upstream. It's just real narrow.
The only difference is getting in there and maintaining it.
Right.
I think our single biggest, I can talk to Pete about it again, but there's one at San Antonio Street, the 90-degree with the Union Pacific. I think that's our bottleneck right now. It backs up, it's right there near the heading, and we fought that one for years. We did get one of the crossings fixed in that area by the Union Pacific, but we still haven't made any progress on getting San Antonio fixed.
I
It's
guess
got a railroad over
I have an idea where it's at, but I've never really been in the middle of that area to the extent that if that's our property, I'm visualizing, all right, it's our property, we got 10-foot high fences all the way down, we can go down the lane, clean it as we would feel. The thing I'm thinking is that are we allowing the city to, because we're good neighbors, that they have access to that ditch and we have to accommodate them?
There's a lot of encroachment in that area by everything.
The tractors.
Because it's happened back years and
Years
years
ago,
and
so there's
years
nothing
and
we
years
can-
ago, and all kinds of encroachment.
There's
Okay,
numerous.
just history.
One thing that does
I
help
just black and white, like, you know, it's our property,
Is-
get out.
Now, I want to ask a question, maybe a stupid question. Is there no way to reroute the water to that part of the system through some of the existing canals at a lower elevation because you not have to go through that area? You understand what I'm saying? Take it out
Yeah.
of the American Canal lower and get away from all that area. Is there any demand for irrigation in there?
There is Fox Plaza. Fox Plaza has a significant amount of small track users.
Well, even if you could come out of Fox Plaza and go, or is there a possibility to
The
hit the
closest one we might be able to use, the Wasteway, the Escarate, no.
I was just wondering if that was a feasibility and just close all that whole area down.
About 25 years ago, you guys had me do a study on reversing the flow. Actually, it was 1996, so maybe more. But and reversing the flow of the Escarate Wasteway with a pumping plant out of the American Canal. And yeah, we can do it, but it's, you know, it's in fact, I don't know what the price. It's probably about $3 to $4 million to do it. But then we would have to reverse the flow to go backwards into Franklin to Fox Plaza, which was going to be complicated.
Glenwood area, they are up in arms, they want their water, yeah, they're very vocal, and, you know, we try to, in fact, we just called Fox Plaza, right, Don Snyder, yeah, so, yeah, and that's immediately downstream from the zoo, so. But
And just a thought, we've already covered it.
I like it.
It's just an.
I think what we thought about was like putting in a 48-inch pipeline to just service those people in the Franklin right away, and then we pump the majority of the water down there at the county park.
You know what?
We were trying to get the county park reservoir there to become, you know, a regulating reservoir, but at that time, the county would not, they didn't want us changing the water level, you know, in their pond there, so we couldn't use their facility. But,
You know,
yeah, there's no easy solution.
I had a thought, and I hate to even say it, but that area would make a great cart path if they blare our canal. I mean, a bicycle path, excuse me. You get my gist?
It's the sediment load is so heavy, we can't put it underground.
That's the problem. That culvert at 54.
You wouldn't keep it, you couldn't design it where it would wash it out, because there's not a lot of water goes through there, is there?
That's the problem, we don't have enough flow to push this. Sometimes we have more sediment by weight than flow, it seems like. So.
The railroad, so San Antonio Street is upstream of Cotton, there was right at Cotton. The railroad's got 2 culverts at 2 separate locations, and then a 90-degree turn, and those culverts silt up. They're 4 foot tall, and they'll silt up 3 feet, and we're pushing water through that 1 foot. They go in clear every year.
No, you understand it, and that's coming out of the American Canal.
That's the heading, right, that's right below the heading.
How much water actually goes through there every year, acre feet?
So when we release, so the canal is
annually,
on 300, it's 80 CFS that we're maximum that we can run right now.
No, I'm not saying not the volume. not
Acre
the
feet,
velocity,
here on
I'm
top,
talking about
not-
the total acre feet
Delivered up there?
and a year. It's delivered.
Franklin, I have to get with Robert on that.
Because I was thinking if there was some
It's
way.
probably about 200 acre, you know, it's hard for us to get over 160 there. Robert can speak to it better than me.
Y'all are talking about flows, I'm not talking about flows.
You're talking about deliveries?
I'm talking about the deliveries.
Right, and so the average is about 200 acre feet a day, so if we're gonna run 200 days, that's 40,000 acre feet on a full year, 40 to 50
Oh, they're
is what we
running
put.
there, but
What-
because we have no other point to bring it in, and I think just Fox Plaza irrigates, I don't think there's very many people downstream from Fox Plaza, is there?
Down from? No.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, we got a ways till we get another delivery, that's in the checks, way downstream past the Scott, I think.
I think when you guys don't have anything to do, look at the possibility of putting a pumping plant under, in a pipeline all the way down there where you can pump that water.
Scott at the wasteway.
And not get away from that sand and get, you know, like I said, make a great bike trail and maybe they'd pay for it.
Okay.
That's a big maybe and a big goal, you know. I'm just thinking of possibilities to get out of the mess if there is any. We looked at it reversing the flow, but what about if we changed the method upstream that would work and get rid of the sand? Because that's the problem. It's that, and if you increase, I mean, it'd be an expense to pump it, obviously, but is it more expensive to pump it and keep it clean than it is to have to go in there and clean it all the time and the mess that you go through?
Sure.
So I don't know, that's just
No, I think
an
that
idea.
could be looked at, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. And item B?
So item B is the grant we discussed previously, so it was applied for last year, and it was a system optimization.
And let me break in here to do the preliminary stuff that I've been doing on these. This is another one of those where y'all authorized the application, said bring it back to us if it's approved. We will act on the approval of it, and y'all did that for this one. Actually, it was item 4, your July 27, 2022 agenda. You say in there, if the district selected to receive this grant, bring it back to us for approval. So this is the first time it would be coming back to you for approval. And I think it was initially approved back in September of 2022. There's some.
The application, so those were the minutes, yes, for the application submitted.
We approved the application, we've never approved
Yeah.
the.
The
Right,
agreement.
you never approved it. They're warranted.
Yeah, they're warranted, you know.
So this is the one that, when we saw it, Dr. Blair and I, in April, we saw the scope and we requested the changes in the scope. It had smaller laterals, La Union East, Isla lateral, Hornado lateral for seepage analysis. And we requested if we could change the scope to concentrate 100% on the reservoir, on the regulated rivers, regulated reservoir. And they approved this, change the scope. It's a 50-50 match, 200,000 total, 100,000 in the district, 100,000 USBR. And it was awarded August 2nd, last week. So we changed the dates, so we'll have, it'll start construction, we have from January 1 of next year, 2024, to December 31st of 2025, so we have.
Well, it makes more sense than the seepage study, and they're still in those little canals that down there. They don't
Exactly,
understand
that's
why
what
you
we
need
got
that.
after discussion, so.
When you can do that by inflows and outflows.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
with a jug, you can figure out that deal.
So, the agreement was in the board packet, and, so yes, everything is in there.
So you want that approved, you recommend
Yes, we
approving that?
recommend this.
So do I hear a motion that we approve item 19B?
I have a comment though. The $100,000 expense would be the majority, if not all, would be in kind cost.
Yes, well, we're gonna have to hire, environmental, so we need to do an environment, this includes environmental. So, but aside from that, it will be in kind, and then, yes,
As far as the construction.
I don't think there's very much in
no,
time.
it's a seepage, yeah, no, this is just a seepage.
Just-
Yeah, you're right, no, we're not.
There's no